Hi everyone, it's Catherine here from Making Food Cats. Now, first of the month I normally do a patterned paper project, and my plan this year was to do all Kendras Card Challenge projects, but I failed, as in I didn't finish off whichever month this one was, and I want to say it was February's, might have been March, might have been April's, but it definitely was not May's or June, and it was never the plan to be doing this still in June. But because of everything happening with the craft room and redecorating everything, this got put to one side. It's all still in a pouch, so I thought rather than starting a new one for this month, especially because I am filming this on the 31st of May for the 1st of June, I just thought, let's just finish this one off. So I have got the pieces for card number 1, card number 2, card number 3, card number 4, and card number 5 here. I'm just going to make these ones up. Now, because I was quite organised, just to explain how I do this, I will link in the description box below. In fact, yeah, you'll have the playlist that is the Kendras Card Challenge ones. So that will tell you where it is. What I do is I do a video that normally shows you how I cut it up and organise it, and then I start making the cards for the next video. So I cut everything out, I lay it all out ready to go for each pieces of the cards. So the pattern paper, I cut the pieces out, blah, blah, then I put them into the envelopes, and each envelope is numbered. Which card does this relate to? Then I go through, look at the card sketch, so this, and then I cut the coordinating cardstock to go with it, and then I pop all that in an envelope ready for when I'm ready to assemble and go. Separately to that, I keep all of the scraps in here, and the scraps are pieces of the cardstock that I then might want to use for sentiments. I also, for this particular month, and I do need to get myself a little tray out, so I've got something easy to go. These Hey Little Magpie trays are so useful. Let me just make sure I don't lose that particular one. What I had done in advance of the month was to stamp and colour in a whole load of images in colours that I thought would work. Now obviously that pink isn't going to work, but maybe the green and the holly, etc. They'll work with this particular set of papers. Some of them have got more of the pink colours in it, so you can see that coordinates with that background thing. So it might work with that, but we'll see. So I did a whole load of those and fussy cut them all out because these are stamps from a magazine kit. I also keep little scraps, and I made a couple of panels. I think I might have used one of those already, but I'm not sure. But again, I do all of this in advance to make my life easy. I then did a whole load of sentiment cutting as well, which might align with, in addition to those, and I've put them all together in this pack because I thought that they would work with it, rather than me having to go and grab from other places. Let's see if I've got another tray. Pop the sentiments in. You can see here I've got a sequin mix that, although it's called Irish Charm, I thought would work with this particular set of papers. So that was me being organised. So I'm going to sort all of these bits out now, and then get myself started on card number 5. Yeah, card number 5. Okay, so this one probably turned out the most obviously festive. I just basically kept the sketch fairly similar, with one slight difference in terms of the fact that I didn't end up putting them on straight. I did put them at sort of like almost like a zigzag, one to the left, one to the right, one to the left. And I did end up moving where the embellishment was. So I think on the sketch it was sort of more to the left-hand top, and I ended up with mine slightly more central. But I did keep it relatively simple in terms of just sticking the elements down. There was no embossing or anything else. I did end up bringing in just some crisp Cantaloupe ink for the edge of the pattern paper. just because I felt like it needed a little bit of a boundary to it, a little bit of a frame to it, but I didn't want anything too stark. And the crisp cantaloupe kind of goes with that very peachy colour that's in the very background, and also the candy canes have got kind of a little bit of peach and red to them. Now, you'll see here, I didn't get them on straight, so then I took them all back off again, and this is where I decided, okay, let's put 2 of them to one side and 1 of them to the other side. It just made it not look too bad. Now, I decided to add in a banner underneath the sentiment, and then I decided I would pop a little bit of ribbon. I have ribbon sort of like pinned up on my pegboard so that I will grab it. It only happens once in this particular card series, card making session, sorry. But, you know, still works. And then I'm just layering the elements up with the holly behind it, and then the sentiment, the banner, the ribbon, etc. all laid up, and it makes a really nice little cluster. Now, I did notice there was a little bit of what's it called? It was kind of like a curl to the back piece, not a curl, like a scuff to it. So I did just trim that just slightly, just a little hair off, just to get rid of that and make it neater. Now, at this point, I will tell you, all of my cards, I don't put them on card blanks immediately. These sketches are made for American-sized card making. Sometimes I make them into American-sized cards. Sometimes I trim them down so that they become normal C6 cards. And sometimes, like today, I end up putting them on 5x7 cards as a card topper. But I do that at the very end, and you will see that on the video. Normally I leave that off, but I did decide to video it this time. And I also showed you how I sort of like used up the final little bits and pieces. There is still a couple of things left in the tray, but most of them are used up on the inside. Okay, this is card sketch number 4, and you'll see I've already ploughed on with how I want it positioning, which embellishments, focal points I want. Now, it does suggest a vellum circle. I actually went with a vellum oval just because I thought it suited the card more with the sort of the landscape positioning. I thought it worked well with the oval, and also the embellishment focal points that I'd chosen. So I did decide to emboss. Now, throughout the whole of this video, I am really giving my new Diamond Press die cutting machine a bit of a working through and working out what do I need to use in order to use various embossing folders, etc. So there are some fiddling in the background, but this is me just trying to work it out. And on this one, I embossed the vellum with a standard, I would say, embossing folder. That needed the shim, kind of the blue turquoisey blue shim to push it through. I discovered a little bit later that another one didn't need that. It needed something different. So I am testing things through and working out what is it needs. I'm trying not to force it because I don't want to break anything, but yeah, that's what I'm doing. Now, at this point, I decided I wanted to slightly change up how I designed the central cluster, and I took it off to the side of the vellum piece, and then I used my trusty Kingston Crafts tape runner, which is just perfect for going underneath vellum. It's not visible. I did keep it in the area where the pieces had been added to on top, but even so, underneath that merry word, I think you would have been able to see it if I'd have used any other kind of adhesive, and you absolutely can't with this. I just love it. And then I'm just adding sequins. Throughout the course of this, I did end up with like sequins all over the place because I tip them over at one point, they go everywhere. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I don't think I catch all of that on video. I think it just happens. Right, on to card sketch number 3. And this one, I was just in the process of adhering things, and I thought, no, I want to do a little bit of stenciling on that plain piece of cardstock. So I went and grabbed a snowflake stencil, and then I grabbed pistachio pudding, I think it's called. It's a very old Stampin' Up! Ink. And my little blending brush, and I'm just adding that just to where that background piece is. I'm trying to avoid the pattern paper I've already put down. I'm fine with the fact that I've not gone right up to the edge of that because I'm going to put in these little border pieces. And I think this is such a cute idea to add the little strips of cardstock. It looks like it's been kind of like matte and layered, but it hasn't. So yeah, really like that. So I'm just pausing because I've just realised I think my daughter's got into the shower, which is really annoying because I wanted a shower. And that does mean she's going to use up all of the hot water. So, oh well, never mind. We'll see what happens. Right, I'm carrying on. And this time I've gone with the kind of the peachy colours. I did contemplate bringing that strip piece in. Don't end up using it at all throughout the whole of the video. So it is one of the pieces that's left. So I might just make a bonus card out of it. Apparently, whilst I'm not getting in the shower very soon after this, in order to just get that stuff used up. I want to just get things off the desk. Anything that's not used at the end of this, probably going to end up going in the bin, which I don't like doing, but I just need to not be hoarding stuff. We do not want to end up in the situation where we've got loads of extra stash that we're never going to use. For this one, I did choose a little banner. Originally with the navy, and then it just didn't punch right and it went all wonky, so I ended up using that as a bottom layer underneath a different banner that I punched out of the green, and that worked fine, and I actually really like it with that little extra banner boundary. Okay, now thinking it's the husband that's in the shower, not the daughter, because my daughter's just sent me a text message and she can't do that while she's actually in the shower, can she? So all is forgiven. That means I'm not going to run out of hot water. Right, I am again adding the sequins on. Part of me feels like, looking at this, I probably could have added a little bow. That would have been nice. But actually what I ended up doing was taking yet another flower and this time popping it up. Haven't used much foam adhesive in this particular set of cards, so they're not as dimensional as I normally make them. Now, for card sketch number 2, I did go off on a tangent and I didn't make a Christmas card because there was nothing specifically Christmassy about the pattern paper. It was just a polka dot, and I thought those flowers do not have to be Christmas flowers, and so yeah, I ended up making a birthday card instead. I think that's the great thing about all of these sketches, is that you can use pattern paper, and as long as you use some that are not that are more generic in pattern, they work really well at all different types of themes of cards. So these were pattern papers that were from a Christmas kit from Kingston Crafts. Yeah, it was their Christmas paper, and they coordinate brilliantly together, but they're also individually really good papers, and some of them are not specifically Christmas, this polka dot being probably the most obvious that's not Christmassy. I decided to emboss the whole panel once I'd put the pattern paper on, and for this I chose a Spellbinders one. It again isn't a 3D one, it's actually one of the Dina Wakley ones, and this required a couple of cardstock shims underneath, so you can see there I'm fiddling around, and I ended up using 3 sheets of sort of quite thin cardstock, so it's not really thick cardstock, thin cardstock, and that worked perfectly. So again, this was me just experimenting with what the Grand Marquise needed, and yeah, I'm loving it so far. I mean, I love my what's it called, Platinum, Spellbinders Platinum machine. I do love it because it's perfect for your glimmer, your better press, etc. But I've just really struggled with it for the die cutting and the embossing. I'm just not getting on with it at the moment. So I am pleased that I've spent the extra money on a second die cutting machine. Did I need it? No, of course I don't need it. But I enjoy crafting, and why not? So for this, I have then put all of those pieces there. I'm now die cutting my sentiment, and at first I am trying to use up the scraps that are in my scrap pouch. I was looking for a pink. I couldn't find a pink that would work, so I ended up with this sort of slightly creamy white cardstock, which is different to the background, which is definitely white. So I ended up just pulling out Melon Mambo. I'm fairly confident I had coloured those flowers with a lot of different colours, clearly, but with Melon Mambo stamping blends, I think are these pink ones. So I think that this pink will match it perfectly. And I just went with the easy option of just pressing it into the ink. What's it called? The ink. pad. Goodness me, my brain is not with it today, is it? And it worked fine, and I just used a piece of scrap paper to just kind of press it in, and that's fine. Dead easy, dead simple. And then I'm just going to add some sequins. So you can see here I've now got a puddle of sequins on that paper, and it was because I had poured them all over the desk during the course of the making of that. And we are on to the final card now, which is card sketch number 1, because I obviously did these in reverse. And it requires you to kind of have a circle with a piece of the pattern paper on one side, a strip of pattern paper in the middle, and a piece of cardstock. So I cut this out, but I actually cut it out for 2 different sizes. I cut out a circle with the navy for the background and this green piece with the pattern paper on. And I find it easier to just sandwich them all together so that they're already attached to the background, and then do the die cutting. Now, it was a bit of a weird pattern paper, that strip one, with it having just the bits of the baubles, and it didn't feel right to put it at an angle, which is what it was suggesting. Again, this has got quite a plain background piece, so I went and embossed that. That was, again, a standard embossing folder. I've still not tried a 3D embossing folder in the machine, so I still don't know how to use that. But then I decided, do you know what? I could just turn this into a bauble and it will work fine. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up with it being so that the circle element isn't at an angle. That strip isn't at an angle. It is sort of like horizontal across the bauble. I stuck down my string through I threaded the string through the bauble hole, and then I am adding a bow on the top. And I did contemplate bringing some other ribbon in and decided against it. I just stuck with this linen thread, which is my favourite thread of all time. I've not used it for years because I had been hoarding it, and then I did end up buying some more and thought, no, I just love it. So this is me deciding how to finish off. I've added one of the flowers and a leaf, probably quite a big leaf for that flower. If I'm being perfectly honest, I probably wouldn't have chosen that, but I am down to the dregs at this point. There isn't a huge amount left in the tray, and I am determined not to have to make any more. So I've added that, and once I've put the little sentiment and the banner over the top, doesn't matter about the size of the leaf because some of it's covered up anyway, and then again just a few sequins to finish off. And that is my 5 cards. So now, as I say, I don't normally do this. I don't normally show this when I do these videos, but I did just stick the camera on anyway. I went and grabbed 5 5x7 card blanks, one of which is this Kingston Crafts one that's an everyday, and the others are all the craft ones. The reason why I didn't go for 5 craft ones is because I didn't have 5 craft ones. I seem to have used them all up now. So that's on the thing to purchase at some point, not urgently, but at some point I will need to do that. For each of the craft ones, I do include a white insert. The reason for that is if it's a coloured card blank, I always include a insert that I can write on easily, rather than having to write onto coloured cardstock. And for each of them, I am just grabbing bits and pieces that are left in the tray in order to decorate. I'm not making huge amounts of effort with it. I am literally just popping bits and pieces in that will coordinate with the front. This one was slightly more difficult because of the fact that there weren't really huge amounts of, well, there was none of the holly left, but I did have one of the merry sentiments, and I did have a red flower, so I stuck that in instead. And on this final one, which is the birthday one, I did go and grab something extra, so I popped in the flower that was left, that was still the that had been coloured with the melon mambo, goodness me, and then I went and grabbed this pink sentiment from my sentiment stash that just said happy birthday, and that finished it off. So long video, lots of yabbering from me. I hope you've enjoyed that. I enjoyed finishing off this project that started months ago, and I'm glad it's another thing out of the to be finished basket. That's good news. I think next month we will go for something completely different. In fact, no, next month is July. We will not be doing one for July because it is Christmas in July. Obviously, these are all Christmas cards, apart from one anyway. But yeah, we will not do a pattern paper for the 1st of July because I already have all of my plans done for Christmas in July and it does not include that. So we will recommence pattern paper in August. And I think we'll go for something very non-Christmassy because clearly we'll have done a month of Christmas card making. So yeah, I hope you will join me for that. I hope you will join me throughout July for Christmas in July. And I hope you will join me for most of June. Please subscribe to see more videos. Till next time. Bye.